Rain stitched the night shut over Dallas, a slow, steady line of gray against the townhouse windows, the kind of rain that made everything sound softer, even the lies. The dining table was a map of my week, contracts open with signature tabs marking progress, a legal pad filled with numbers that meant security, maybe success, or maybe just distraction. My coffee had gone cold an hour ago, sitting there like a small symbol of everything I didn't finish. Savannah stood by the doorway, where the track light cut a white blade across her black dress. One heel still damp from the sidewalk. The rain had followed her in, a sheen of water clinging to her hair, the faint scent of perfume, clean, sharp, and unfamiliar in this room I paid for. "You're still working?" she asked. Her voice was soft, practiced. She used that tone when she didn't want to start something but also didn't want to seem guilty. "Trying," I said, not looking up. She took a step forward, the sound of her heels delicate against the hardwood floor. "You shouldn't work so late all the time. It's not good for you." I smiled, the kind that doesn't reach your eyes. "Yeah, you've mentioned that before." She said nothing, just hovered there for a moment, like she wasn't sure where to stand. The silence between us was too familiar now, something we'd both learned to live with, like a leaky faucet you stop noticing after a while. She set her purse down carefully, almost too carefully, and I caught the smallest flicker of hesitation in her movement. That was new. Savannah was always composed, always elegant in her gestures. Tonight, though, something about the way she moved felt cautious, calculated. "Dinner with friends?" I asked. My tone was casual, but the words landed heavy in the air. She nodded quickly. "Yeah, just the girls. We went to that new place on Main." "Main Street? In this weather?" She hesitated, just for a breath. "We were already out when it started raining." I nodded, though I didn't believe her. Not because the story was bad. It was just too clean. Real life doesn't come out that neat. Her phone lit up on the counter. No name, just a number. The same number that had been calling for weeks. She saw me glance toward it, and for a second, her expression changed. Barely perceptible, but enough. That flicker of panic, the kind that people get when truth threatens to show its face. "Who's that?" I asked. My voice was steady, calm. The calm that comes when you've already accepted the worst. "No one," she said. "Probably spam." I looked at her. "Spam calls you 3 times in a row?" She turned her face slightly away, her jaw tightening. "Do we really have to do this right now?" I set my pen down slowly. "Do what, Savannah?" Her lips parted like she might speak, then closed again. For a moment, the only sound in the room was the rain against the glass and the ticking of the wall clock behind me. I'd memorized that sound over the last few months. It had been the soundtrack to our silence. I took a breath. "You don't have to lie." Her eyes met mine, startled, defensive, afraid. "I don't know what you're talking about." I leaned back in my chair. "You stopped loving me a long time ago. The rest is just details." The words hung between us like smoke. For a second, she just stood there, frozen, as if she didn't know whether to fight or flee. Then something in her broke. Her shoulders fell, her posture softened. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she whispered. I nodded once. No one ever does. She looked down at the floor, her hands twisting around each other. I'd seen that before, years ago, when she'd accidentally broken something in our first apartment. Back then, it had been endearing. Now, it was unbearable. I felt like we were strangers," she said quietly. "You were always working, always distant. I didn't even know how to talk to you anymore." "And he?" I asked. My voice wasn't sharp, just tired. She didn't answer. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to shout, to accuse, to make her feel the same kind of ache I'd been carrying. But anger takes energy, and I didn't have any left. All I felt was this deep, heavy stillness inside me, like the rain outside had soaked into my bones. "Was it him at dinner tonight?" I asked. Her silence was the only answer I needed. I stood, the chair scraping lightly against the floor. For a second, she looked like she might step toward me, like she wanted to explain, to reach for something that was already gone. "Don't," I said softly. She froze. "I don't want to hear it," I continued. "Not the excuses, not the reasons. Just don't." The room felt smaller now, the air heavier. My eyes drifted to the framed photos on the wall. Vacations, anniversaries, moments that looked real once. Each one a still image of a life that had quietly unraveled when we weren't looking. I thought about the early years, our first apartment with the thin walls and broken heater. How she'd dance barefoot in the kitchen, hair still wet from the shower, laughing at some stupid joke I'd made. Those memories used to make me smile. Now they just hurt. "I never wanted to hurt you," she said. "You did anyway," I replied. "That's what love is, I guess. Someone always gets hurt." Her eyes filled with tears. Not the dramatic kind, just quiet ones that slipped down her cheeks. "Can we fix it?" she asked, voice trembling. I shook my head. "You can't fix something you stopped believing in." She turned away, pressing her palms against the counter. The light caught the edge of her face, and for a second I saw the woman I'd fallen in love with, the same softness, the same fragility. It almost made me forget. Almost. I picked up my coffee mug, took a sip, and grimaced. Cold, bitter, honest. Just like the night. "I'll stay at a hotel tonight," she said finally, her voice small. "You don't have to rush," I said. "Take your time." That surprised her. She looked at me as if expecting anger, expecting a scene. But there was nothing left to give. We were both ghosts in the same house, haunting what used to be ours. The clock ticked again. The rain grew heavier, blurring the city lights outside into streaks of gold and gray. When she finally left, she didn't say goodbye. She just stood at the door for a moment, looking back like she wanted to say something but didn't know what. Then she was gone. I stood there long after the door clicked shut. The air still carried her perfume, faint and fading. I looked at the table, contracts, numbers, the remains of a life built on routine and quiet ambition. Somewhere in that silence, I realized that endings don't always come with fire or fury. Sometimes they just arrive quietly, like rain. No shouting, no slammed doors, just stillness. And in that stillness, you finally understand that love doesn't end in one night. It fades, slowly, like a song you once knew the words to, but can't quite remember anymore.